All right, long time no see, and that should tell you something about the topic of this week's video, which is the real estate market in the Minneapolis area. I always think of spring as kind of like the spin cycle or the meat grinder in real estate, and April and May really felt that way for sure for me. My name is Schumann, and I am a realtor in the Twin Cities region of Minnesota. And when I'm not in the spin cycle or the meat grinder, I try to make videos to help people who are thinking about buying or selling homes in the Minneapolis area. So today I want to hit on a few topics in this video, and I'm just going to give you an outline here of how I'll put these into chapters for you, and you can look in the description box. So if there's one area that you're mostly interested in, you can hop to that area of interest if you want. Number one is changing trends in the U.S. market as a whole, as described in sources like Realtor.com or Redfin. Number two is what the overall market in the Twin Cities looks like right now. And this means the 7-county metro area that encompasses the Twin Cities. And I'll include things like days on market, month supply, that kind of thing. What this actually means for you as a buyer or seller in different segments. And then number three is what my personal experience has been in the past couple of months and what my buyers and sellers are seeing and how they are achieving their goals. So number four and the last point would be what terms are being accepted in a more aggregate form. And I get this information from the transaction coordination company that I work with. So this is a company that helps agents manage their paperwork and transactions, and they help a lot of agents. So this viewpoint comes from a lot of agents versus the limited number of transactions that I personally see. I will add that when you think about the type of agent that is employing a company like this to help them manage their transactions, they are probably very busy agents, and they need help in keeping track of their business. So they are closing a lot of business, and these are things that these agents, probably successful agents, are doing in order to win offers. All right, so let's start wide and we'll narrow it down. So nationally, there have been some trends that are being reported on. The New York Times just had a little blurb showing something great for Minnesota, which is the percentage of home ownership for people under the age of 35. Minnesota had the highest rate of home ownership in that group at 50.8%. What this says to me about Minnesota is that it's a great place to be if you are a first-time buyer, and I'm going to guess that it's a matter of a few things like a healthy jobs economy, moderately priced homes when you compare them to other larger metro areas, and also we have a fairly robust system of down payment assistance programs here. Another statistic that may change based on what we see nationally with our very unpredictable tariff situation and any effects that that has on lumber, appliances, or other inputs into the new construction segment, that we are seeing, or we're seeing, the prices of new homes dipping while the prices of existing homes continue to rise. So that was a moment of hope, or is a moment of hope for people concerned about the affordability of homes. My thoughts on why this may be the case is that new construction homes are typically further away from the city center, which makes for longer commutes. People that like to be closer to activities in downtown and workplaces and are averse to spending a lot of time in their cars have fewer homes to choose from, as they will be selecting from homes that are previously owned. So there's more competition for those in fully developed neighborhoods. Many of my personal clients express a desire or a wish to live in areas that have things like mature trees and larger lots and fully developed amenities, etc. And that is not always the case in new developments. The other factor would be that when new developments are built, typically they are put on old farmland. There are a lot of homes going up in the same area at the same time. So Competition for buyers out there is pretty fierce, and you're going to see this in some of the data that I share later on in months supply of inventory for the various counties. Certain areas of the metro have a higher concentration of new construction homes than others, and that is reflected in the speed of sales of homes. It's slower there if you're looking at the month's supply of inventory out in these new construction areas. Another fun national statistic that won't surprise a lot of people that are trying to get into homes is that the tenure of home sellers has increased. We used to say that people stayed in their homes for about an average of 7 years, and now that number has nearly doubled. So some of this is the lock-in effect from low interest rates that people don't want to give up, but a lot of it is due to baby boomers, and I'm going to help you here. Who are baby boomers? As a Gen Xer, I hate being lumped into this group because people consistently forget that we, Gen Xers, exist. Baby boomers were born from 1946 to about 1965, and the people that fall into this range are between 61 and 80 years old right now, also known as people that are retirees or nearly there. Anyway, they are not downsizing as much as they used to, and they are not moving somewhere else. They are staying in their homes for 20 plus years. So you're going to have to pry their homes out of their cold, dead hands. I don't like that phrase, but I think it's funny. Anyway, let's look at the Twin Cities specifically. So housing inventory is way better now than we have seen in years. If we look at year over year data, same week in 2019, we had 7,406 homes for sale. In 2021, we went all the way down to 3,386, and that was painful and hard. We are now back up to 6,475 available homes for sale. These numbers are year over year, same week of the year. So we're comparing apples to apples. No other homes coming on the market. How long would it take to sell what we have? 0 to 5 is a seller's market. If we have between 5 and 6 months worth of inventory, it is generally considered a balanced market. And any number over 6 months means a buyer's market. So now you have that context in your head. Condos definitely have that buyer's market vibe compared to the rest of the real estate market because they are at 4.3 months worth of inventory. Townhouses are at about half that number at 2.3 months, and previously owned single-family homes for the entire 7-county area are at 1.6 months, which is very much a seller's market. But for new construction, let's revisit that earlier part of the video where I talked about that piece and how that's an opportunity because they are at 5.6 months worth of inventory in new construction. This inventory is primarily going to be in the south and west suburbs and also the far northwest suburbs of the metro area. So places like Farmington and Lakeville and Chaska and, St. Michael. While this is an opportunity for buyers, if you think you're not going to be in the home that long, just know that reselling quickly will likely be difficult for you because you're going to be competing for buyers with the builder. And this leads me to my personal transactions. I have had 12 transactions in the last couple of months here, 10 that are under contract and 2 that are active, 2 active listings. One of my buyers was a 2-year-old home in St. Michael, and they were competing. The seller was competing with new homes nearby, including in this very same subdivision. And they sat on the market for 4 months, and we were able to get that one for $40,000 less than they had originally listed it for. This same buyer, though, had tried before in a previously owned home. We offered $50,000 over ask, and honestly, almost $50,000 over what they ended up paying for the new home. It was a lovely house and competing offers, but our competition waived inspection, so we didn't get it. 5 other homes I was able to negotiate under asking price. 4 of these were cash buyers. 2 were at asking price, but they were able to get some seller paid closing costs, so that essentially drops their net price down. And 1 had to go over asking by a pretty good chunk for a really pretty house in the city. One of my buyers canceled with cold feet, and one of my listings sold prior to even going live on the MLS. I also have one condo that's been on the market in the city for about a month and a townhouse in Maple Grove that has been on the market for about a week. We're getting good feedback on that, and I'm hoping that one's going to sell really quickly. All right, the transaction coordination company that I use tracks what winning offers look like, and they say that 29% of buyers are waiving inspection right now, and that is up from earlier in the year. The percentage of VA and FHA offers getting accepted are actually up as well at 10% and 4% respectively. These loans are typically not considered as desirable by sellers if they have cash offers or conventional loans that are competing. The average purchase to list price right now is at 102.3%, and that is the highest I've seen it all year. 25% of sellers are making some sort of contribution to closing costs, probably due to things that are found in the inspection results. Only 6% included escalation clauses, and 13% included coverage for appraisal gap. The cancellation rate is only at 4% right now. People who are getting into contract pretty much are doing what they need to stay there. If you need help navigating this market, let me know. I really love to talk to people that meet me on YouTube, so please reach out if you have questions, and I'll do what I can to help you out. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.